Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Achieving Healthy Weight for Mental Health Consumers with Dr. Gail Daumit. This webinar is sponsored by the Northwest Mental Health Technology Transfer Center. And on behalf of the Northwest MHTTC, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar. We're grateful that you're joining us to learn more about this critically important topic. I'm Dr. Lydia Chwastiak. I'm a psychiatrist and a professor in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Washington School of Medicine and a co-director of the Northwest MHTTC. The MHTTC network is a national network that is funded by SAMHSA. The goal of the network is to support the behavioral health workforce to disseminate and implement evidence-based practices for mental health disorders. The Northwest MHTTC is based at the University of Washington in the Department of Psychiatry. We provide training and technical assistance in evidence-based practices to HHS Region 10, Alaska, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. Broadly, our goals at the Northwest MHTTC are to ensure availability and delivery of free, publicly available training and TA to Region 10 providers, to heighten awareness, knowledge, and skills of the workforce addressing the needs of individuals with mental illness, to accelerate the adoption and implementation of mental health-related evidence-based practices across Region 10, and to foster alliances among culturally diverse mental health providers, policymakers, family members, and clients. It is our intention to always use culturally appropriate terminology and language that promotes recovery. We encourage everyone to use person-first language to emphasize the individual and not a condition or a diagnosis. Person-first language is a way to demonstrate respect for a person's dignity and worth. It is consistent with recovery-oriented practices and promotes environments that foster respect, dignity, and hope. It's my great pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Gail Daumit. Dr. Daumit is an internal medicine physician and Samsung Professor of Medicine in the Division of General Internal Medicine at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. She also directs the Johns Hopkins ALACRITY Center for Health and Longevity in Mental Illness. Dr. Daumit is an international expert in improving physical health and decreasing premature mortality in populations with serious mental illness. Her research has utilized health services research, clinical trials, and implementation science methods. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Daumit to share more about how we as mental health providers can support our clients to achieve and maintain a healthy weight.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gail Daumit, and I'm a primary care physician and clinician investigator at Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm coming to you virtually this afternoon, and I'm going to be speaking with you about achieving healthy weight for consumers with mental illness. I direct the Johns Hopkins ALACRITY Center for Health and Longevity in Mental Illness, which is an NIMH-sponsored P50 ALACRITY Center, and I hope that you all will check out our website. I've got the link at the end of this presentation. And I'd like to thank my collaborators, Arlene Dalson and Stacy Goldshaw, who worked with me on this presentation and with whom I've been working for well over 10 years in the area of trying to prevent and treat obesity in persons with mental illness. So again, the name of this presentation is Achieving Healthy Weight for Mental Health Consumers, and I have no disclosures. So by the end of the session, we have several goals. One, I'm going to talk you through identifying key lifestyle behaviors for weight management in general. I'm going to speak with you about how to learn the importance of simple messaging and repetition for weight management in persons with serious mental illness. I'm going to abbreviate that by using the acronym SMI. I'm going to help you understand the value of high impact behavioral goal setting for weight management, and also help you to understand ways to increase accountability, which will help people change their behavior. So I think a key concept for weight loss in the population of persons with serious mental illness is really just to believe that people with serious mental illness can lose weight. This might sound kind of obvious, as you know, because you've been working with this population for some time, that they are able to make behavior change in different aspects of their life, but it wasn't always thought to be that way. And actually, a study that I led with Arlene Dawson, Stacy Goldshaw, and others called the Achieve trial was the first, longest, and largest trial of a behavioral weight loss intervention in persons with serious mental illness, published in the New England Journal in 2013, that showed that with a targeted behavioral weight loss intervention, people with serious mental illness could lose weight, and they lost 7 pounds in the intervention, which over 18 months, which is similar to weight loss interventions of the same duration in the overall population, which are mostly people without serious mental illness. So we know this can be done, and it's just a matter of how. This talk is not meant to be a comprehensive weight management counseling course, but really will give you some tips that you can use with your clients and start using right away, some practical tips for success. So let's first talk about overall weight loss and behavioral lifestyle changes for weight loss. So there can be some misconceptions there, and maybe even some that we have from our own experiences with trying to be healthy and lose weight. So the first kind of basic concept, which probably you all already endorse, is that weight loss happens when you consume less calories than your body needs. So it's when the calories you take in are less than you're expending. And I think many of us, and I have been guilty of this in the past, might think that, oh, well, you know, if I just go on this diet, I can just cut my calories for a certain period of time and I will lose weight that way. But really, diets tend to be, particularly fad diets tend to be restrictive and not really sustainable in the long term. People can't, generally cannot eat in a very restrictive way for long periods of time. So what we recommend, and what's been shown to work, is that really focusing on lifestyle change, behavioral lifestyle change, rather than dieting, is the best approach to reduce calories. So these are gradual, lasting changes to people's eating and exercise behavior that will achieve weight loss and help maintain it for the long term. So these concepts apply to everyone. The goal for weight management for lifestyle behaviors is to create new and healthier habits. So what are the key concepts in healthy eating for everyone? I mean, these actually seem very simple, but of course it's how you work on achieving them that is the key. So one is avoiding sugar beverages. This is a very, very common source of calories in the American diet. And particularly we have found in our experience for consumers with serious mental illness, sugar beverages, high calorie beverages are very common. It's one of the easiest, most important changes people can make. A second is junk food, avoiding junk food. Another thing that we emphasize are smart portions. So eating the right amount of food and then eating more vegetables. Those are 4 key components. Then we talk about exercise, aerobic exercise for approximately 30 minutes a day. So this is the Surgeon General's recommendation. Exercise is generally an adjunct for weight management, but diet is usually considered more important. However, often persons with serious mental illness lead very sedentary lives. And so exercise might be even more important for them. And regardless, exercise is regular physical activity of moderate intensity is independently related to a lower risk of cardiovascular mortality at any weight. So exercise is important no matter what you're eating. Okay, so let's go through these one by one and talk about each of these key concepts. So one, avoiding sugar drinks. So like I said before, this is really important. There are a lot of calories in these sugar beverages. So it can be actually not an easy way. It can be an easy way to eliminate excess calories. We're talking about sodas with sugar or corn syrup, energy drinks, juice type drinks, coffee drinks that are like pre-mixed, that have like heavy milk and sugar, corn syrup in them, or flavoring, and sweet tea. Unfortunately, many people like these drinks. However, water can be substituted, carbonated water like seltzer water, more 0-calorie type beverages, although we don't necessarily encourage diet drinks because there can be issues with sugar substitutes, but still those are better than sugar beverages. So we talked about sugar drinks. Let's talk about junk food. As we all know, junk food is very high in calories. It contains a lot of salt or sodium, lots of saturated and trans fats, and sugar or corn syrup. We generally like divide junk foods into kind of 2 kinds. So if you're going to be talking with your clients, sweets, so like donuts, candy, cakes, and then like salty, greasy foods like potato chips, Doritos, things like that. Okay, we want to try to avoid those, and we'll talk about substituting those with some vegetables in a moment. The next thing is looking at portion size. So it's what you eat, but it's also how much of it. And we talk about smart portions with our clients. So we're talking about eating 1 serving as defined by the nutrition facts label on whatever you're eating, and then just generally eating less than what you would normally eat. I think that we don't need to get too excited about measuring food and things like that in this population, but really just trying to eat less than what they would normally eat for a portion size. Okay, let's talk about vegetables now, because vegetables are low in calories. They have a lot of fiber and a lot of nutrients. They're generally filling, so people don't feel as hungry. And they're a really good way to replace high-calorie junk foods and sugar beverages. So when we talk to our clients about kind of giving up junk food or sugar beverages, it's a way for them to think about something else that they could substitute. And there are lots of different kinds of vegetables. They can be eaten raw or prepared in different simple ways. And so even if, people don't like some, there should be some vegetables that they can find that they enjoy. So again, we've got avoiding sugar drinks, avoiding junk food, eat smart portions, and eating more vegetables. Those are our 4 key dietary behaviors that we are going to be working on with our consumers. Then next, let's talk about exercise. Physical activity or exercise is a way to spend calories, burn calories. We really focus on moderate intensity physical activity with our consumers. We don't need to focus on vigorous. We can focus on moderate. Moderate intensity is like brisk walking. It's when your heart rate and your breathing rate increase, but you don't feel out of breath. We focus on helping people plan physical activity, like taking walks, doing a moderate intensity aerobics video. This kind of physical activity engages your larger muscle groups, so like your legs. And we encourage people during the moderate intensity physical activity to remain in motion for at least 10 minutes. So they might not be able to do the whole 30 minutes when they start, but they're going to remain in motion for at least 10 minutes. So in terms of safety, moderate intensity physical activity is safe for really most people. If your clients have diabetes or a history of heart disease, they should check, or you should check with their primary care physician to make sure it is okay for them to exercise. There's also the American College of Sports Medicine has a questionnaire, a basic questionnaire called the PARQ, the Physical Activity Readiness Questionnaire, that is very easy to use. It's probably, if any of you belong to gyms, they may have given it to you as you sign up for gym membership. So that checklist could also be used with your consumers. I'll provide that as like an appendix to this video. But I guess the key point is that it's safe for most people. So you should feel confident about recommending moderate intensity physical activity. Okay, so I've talked about these different behaviors, the 4 dietary behaviors: avoiding sugar drinks, avoiding junk food, eating smart portions, eating more vegetables, and then exercise. So total 5 behaviors. Now, so that's fine, but let's figure out how we are going to help our clients adopt these behaviors. This is where I think it can be challenging for clinicians, because they basically know what they want to, you know, what the client should do, but it's sort of how to get there, So what we have found working with consumers with mental illness is that these 4 concepts work very well. One is that we keep the messaging simple. I'm going to go into each of these in more detail in a moment, but we keep the messaging simple. That helps with any cognitive issues that may be present, issues with focusing or attention. We use repetition. We set high impact behavioral goals, and we use accountability, so tracking and goal setting. However, we do it in a way that is simple and does not require a lot of complex tasks. So let's go to the simple messaging. So the simpler, the better. We really, you know, we do speak with some clients about, you know, the calories and the different makeup of the foods they're eating. But for the most part, we really focus on avoiding junk food. What is junk food? And let's avoid it. Let's substitute other things. We just have found that the simplicity of messaging has been very helpful and is easier. And in particular, many of the participants in my studies have been in psychiatric rehabilitation program settings where they have more functional limitations. I don't necessarily think that anyone in a clinic, you know, needs ultra simple, but in general, we have found that simple helps, and is in a situation where you don't have a lot of time, if you're adding this into your counseling sessions that you're already giving, then we think, you know, simple can help. Repetition and consistency of messaging is also helpful. It is going to reinforce your message over time. And we have found that it's helpful for learning. So simplicity and repetition. Okay, let's talk about high impact behavioral goals. So again, in the service of being simple, we don't want people to be trying to do like 5 different things at one time necessarily. And if they try to do too much at once, and this is true really for everyone who's trying to change their health behaviors, it can be overwhelming, and people likely will not be able to succeed. So what we try to focus on is choosing behaviors that will impact their weight and starting small to build confidence and self-efficacy that they can do it, and something that you think that they're going to be able to do or that they agree to do between the time you interact with them and then the next time you're going to interact with them. Those are high impact behavioral weight loss goals. And again, you think of weight loss as something that you're kind of working with your client over time. It's not a rush. So it's going to be something that's iterative. So you're going to start small. Give them confidence in something that they think they're going to be able to change, that you think they're going to be able to change. This tool called an options tool is one that we created, not super high tech, but it has been very helpful for us. And what it's doing here is it's displaying different behaviors that they can change. So it shows no sweets, no salty, greasy foods, no sugar drinks, avoiding processed foods, eat smart portions, and eat more fruits and vegetables. We focus on the vegetables. And it's something that you can show your clients and have them pick. Maybe they, really like fries and they, don't want to give that up yet, but they are willing to give up the sweets. They don't need to give up everything all at once. What can you partner together with them to make a change before the next time you see them? So how about accountability? So we help, we monitor, we weigh people, and you can check in on the progress that they're making towards their goals in a non-confrontational way. And we also recommend doing a simplified form of tracking, which I'll talk about shortly. So in terms of weighing, we weigh people. There's a routine that we establish, so it's in a non-threatening way that they're partnering with you on the weighing. We can record their weights, look at trends over time. And if you see in the picture here on the bottom right, there can be some goal setting, and it can be kind of basic, that you might just be recording their, change in weight in like a 5 pounds up, 5 pounds down, something like that, in a simple way. Remembering that healthy weight loss is very gradual. Really, we would not be expecting people to lose more than 1 pound a week, and 1 pound a week is even really is a lot. So weight loss can be gradual and will go up and down. Let's talk about the checking in on progress. You're going to want to follow up on the high impact behavioral goals that you have previously set, again, in a non-judgmental way, hopefully using some motivational interviewing skills that you already use in your interactions with your clients. It may take a few weeks before they're really fully able to accomplish their goal. I mean, giving up sweets or certain types of sweets or sugar beverages is really hard. It might take time, and you want to encourage them to stick with your goal. If that goal seems too hard for them, or maybe not the right goal for them, that's too much, then you can go back to your options tool and work with them to try to choose another goal. That's totally okay. In terms of tracking, so we know that self-monitoring is one of the things that helps people lose weight in the overall population. We have worked with several different kinds of tracking and monitoring for clients with serious mental illness in psychiatric day programs. And again, depending on the functional level or cognitive status of the particular client, there's some detailed tracking, like detailed calorie counting, we have found can be challenging for most people, not everyone, but for most people. So we have created a more simplified tracker that you can see here on the slide, which is basically talking about things that they could avoid, like sugar beverages, salty, greasy foods, sweets, processed foods, and then things that they're eating. So did they eat smart portions? Did they eat vegetables? And then did they exercise? So a type of tracker like this, feel free to use this one, or one that you prefer, we have found is easier, and then also links directly with the high impact behaviors that you are working on with the client, as opposed to much more detail. Now, if they're able to, write down everything they eat and do some more detailed advanced tracking, then, that's great also. But this is an option, a simplified option. So just to review, the way that we help clients adopt the healthy weight loss behaviors are simple messaging and repetition, setting high impact behavioral goals that you assist them with. You can use the options tool for that. And then accountability, which includes monitoring and tracking. And remembering that it can take time to lose weight and that you just want to kind of keep at it and encourage them to stick with their goal or switch behavioral goals if needed. And of course, add additional behavioral goals once you have reached once you've had success with the first high impact goals. Okay, so let's summarize here. We have found, and hopefully I've explained to you, that focusing on key lifestyle behaviors for weight management can help consumers with mental illness lose weight. We know that changing these behaviors works. We've tested it in a randomized trial, and they will work in your consumers as well. We think that simple messaging and repetition are really important strategies. I think helping people focus, not worry as much about, again, complicated trans fats and other food labeling, and really focusing on simple behaviors is what we need to do. And then setting high impact behavioral goals and helping people be accountable to them by monitoring and tracking can be important factors in consumers' weight loss success. I hope that I've given you some tips that you can start using with your clients, consumers that you see right now. You do not need to have a nutrition degree or a dietary counseling experience on your resume in order to help people make these behavior changes. I think using the tips here plus your own therapy and counseling skills, you can really, really help the consumers that you're serving. So I want to say thank you. Here is the website of our ALACRITY Center, and this is also my email. I would be happy to correspond with anyone that wants to get more information or who is interested more about what I'm working on. And I wanted to thank everyone for listening and for the opportunity to present to you today. And I hope that I get to come out to the Northwest to have a more real, live, face-to-face interaction with you all in the not too distant future. So best wishes and stay healthy. Thank you.
I'd like to once again thank our presenter, Dr. Gail Daumit, for a wonderful presentation. And thank you to everyone for taking the time to watch this webinar and to learn more about this important topic. You can find out more about us and register for additional resources and training opportunities at our website, www.mhttcnetwork.org/Northwest. You can also sign up to receive our newsletter, and while you're there, find us on social media or email us with any questions.